Hi everyone, welcome to another 30 minutes Pilates. I hope you've watched the pre-class information first. If not, check that out if you haven't done a class with us, and we'll get straight to it. So we're going to start with our feet together. We're going to turn our toes out and we're going to take our heels out to join them too. Now I want you to think about equalizing your weight through your feet. So you're going to be pressing down your big toe, your little toe and your heel. So make sure you're nice and evenly distributed. Coming up to the knees, we're going to keep them nice and spongy. So just give them a bit of a wiggle. Up to our pelvis. We're going to imagine that inside our pelvis is a bucket of water that's really full. So we're not tilting the pelvis one way or the other. It's going to stay in the middle. So you might just need to tuck it under slightly or just tuck it out. We're going to have the two headlights on the front of the hip as well. So again, we're not leaning to one side or the other. We're keeping those nice and level. Up to our core. Think about just engaging the belly button slightly. So we're just imagining we're kind of shrink wrapping our middle. So if you've ever worn a corset or high-waisted jeans, just imagine you're pulling that all in like you're wearing one of those. We're going to keep our ribs down too. So try not to flare the ribs up and out. Think about pushing those down slightly. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. As we do that, we're going to pick the shoulders up towards the ears. We're going to push them back and we're going to breathe out through our mouth. Fantastic. So we're going to repeat this a couple of times. If you want to close your eyes while you're doing it, you can. But in through the nose, really squeezing the shoulders up towards the ears, pushing them back and breathing out through the mouth. Make the movement just slightly bigger each time. It's just warming into the shoulder joint. It's just relaxing the breathing too, just calming everything down. Okay, we're going to do two more. And we're going to slide the shoulders down the back. Fantastic. We're going to do our lateral flexion. So I want you to imagine you've got a cord to the top of your head and it's lifting you up towards the ceiling, just lengthening up through the spine. We're going to breathe into the nose. On the out breath, we're just going to slowly lean side to side. Fantastic. So we're keeping that core engaged slightly and you should feel a really nice stretch down either side of the body. Keeping the shoulders stacked one on top of each other. So you're imagining you've got a pane of glass in front and behind you and you're just sliding through those panes of glass. You can let the neck go as well. So just get a little bit of a neck stretch either side. Breathing in at the top, lengthening back up and then breathing out either side. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. We're going to finish back in the centre. And we're going to lengthen back up through that spine again. So we're going to do our bow and arrow this time. So this is for our rotation. So we're going to lift our arms up roughly to shoulder height. We're going to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're going to bring our one arm down. So we're bringing that elbow to the waist and we're twisting that shoulder back. And then we're bringing that back up into the centre. Fantastic. So breathing in, breathing out, we'll go the opposite side. I'm just going to alternate sides as we go. Keeping the movement slow and controlled. So you want to make sure that the hips are facing forwards. So we've got those two little headlights on the hip bones. They're not going to move. So all that rotation is coming from the waist and the shoulders. So just the upper part of the body. If you want to take the head round further too, you can get a nice little neck stretch that way. In through the nose, back out through the mouth. When you think about trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together at the back as well, just to increase that rotation. Find shoulders are probably starting to warm up a little bit too. We're going to go one more each side. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Back into the centre, and then just float the arms back down. So we're going to do our roll downs. So make sure you've got enough room in front of you. And stand slightly to the side. Make sure the feet are roughly underneath the hips. You can take them slightly wider to about shoulder width if that's more comfy for you. Think about keeping the belly button in. We're going to lengthen up to the spine. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose and pick the shoulders up, push them back, breathe out, push them back down. Fantastic. So we're going to start. We're going to breathe in through our nose. On the out breath, we're going to tuck the chin down. We're going to roll the shoulders down slightly too. And we're just going to let the hands aim roughly towards the knees. Once we get here, we're going to breathe in. And then we're going to breathe out. And we're slowly going to roll that back up again. So vertebrae by vertebrae, finishing with the shoulders, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the head. Brilliant. So breathing in, breathing out. We're just going to repeat this movement a few times. So take it at your own pace. Maybe take it a little bit further this time. So you could take the hands roughly down to the middle of the shins. You're going to breathe in at the bottom. And then you're going to breathe out and slowly roll that back up again. So I want you to think about keeping the belly button engaged still. So we're protecting our lower back. You might need to give the glutes a little bit of a squeeze on the way back up as well. Keeping the arms nice and loose, keeping the shoulders nice and loose too. As we get further down, we're going to put a bigger bend in the knees. You don't want to be overstretching the hamstrings. They're not very warm at the moment. Taking our time with the movement, lengthening back up at the top, breathing in and then breathing out on that movement. Breathing in at the bottom and then breathing out to come back up. We're going to do one more. On this last one, we're just going to finish down. So take your time, rolling that spine down, vertebrae by vertebrae, keeping the knees soft, nice and bent. And then we're just going to dangle, so just let the arms go loose, let the shoulders loose. If you want to just wiggle the head slightly, you can. If it's more comfy, you can place your hands on the opposite elbows, kind of like a ragdoll style. Breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. And just let the weight of your upper body just pull the spine down towards the floor. Should feel quite nice. Okay, and then in your own time, we're going to come down into all fours, so into a kneeling position. We're going to make sure our knees are below our hips and our wrists are below our shoulders. They're also roughly shoulder width apart. So we're going to do our thoracic rotation while kneeling. So I want you to think about keeping that belly button pulled in. So we've got a nice flat back. We're keeping that core engaged. Now with this movement, the hips aren't going to move. Again, it's very similar to the bow and arrow. It's just the shoulders that are moving. So I want you to take your left hand and place that where your left back pocket would be with the elbow bent up. Now think about pushing down through that right hand. So we're keeping the shoulder engaged. The neck is going to be in a neutral position. We're going to breathe in through our nose. On the out breath, we're going to slowly open the shoulders out. So we're going to rotate that up. I'm going to bring that back down. So we're going to do this 6 times. So breathing in at the bottom, breathing out on that movement. Really think about trying to stack the shoulders on top of each other. We're pushing down through that wrist as well. Getting that nice rotation through the top part of the body. Keeping that neck neutral. Once we've done our 6 one side, I'm going to place both hands back down again. We're going to reset. And we're going to go the opposite side. And make sure they're underneath the shoulders. We're picking up the opposite hand, placing that on that hip, pushing through the wrist, keeping the shoulder engaged, making sure everything's neutral, breathing in through our nose, breathing out, and rotating that shoulder back. So again, we're going to do 6 this side. And it's not a race, we're going to keep everything nice and slow and controlled. We're pushing down through that wrist still. working with our breath as well. So breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. Pushing down through that wrist. Once you've done your 6, I'm going to reset those hands again. I'm going to come down onto the floor into a lay down position. So we're going to do our swan dive and we're going to do swimming legs with it. Hopefully you can kind of see my legs. There we go, lovely. So make sure you're relatively flat on the floor. We're going to have our hands in a W position. So your hands are going to be roughly in line with the head, the fingers are going to be facing forward. We're going to be face down. If you do want to get a pillow or something for underneath the forehead, you can do that. So we're going to take a deep breath in. On the out breath, we're slowly going to peel our head up off the floor. We're going to squeeze our shoulder blades. We're going to come down just to the bottom of the rib cage. We're going to breathe in here and we're going to breathe out and slowly lower that back down. So breathing in at the bottom, breathing out, peeling that up off the floor, peeling the sternum down to the bottom of the rib cage, really squeezing the shoulder blades and then bringing that back down again. So this exercise is for the upper part of your back. So if you do struggle with your posture sometimes, if you find yourself slouching, or even if you just end up sat on the phone slouching, this is a really good one to help counterbalance that. If you want to increase, you can lift the hands up off the floor slightly and place that back down, kind of like skydiving. Breathing in at the bottom, breathing out on that movement, squeezing those shoulder blades. And keeping a little bit of tension in the belly button too. Okay, we're going to do 2 more, so keep them nice and slow and controlled. And then going to place our hands underneath our forehead. We're going to keep our belly button pulled in. We're going to squeeze our right glute. We're going to keep our leg nice and straight. And we're going to lift that leg up off the floor. Place that back down. We'll do the opposite leg. So keep the leg nice and straight. Squeeze the glute. Pick that leg up. Place that down. So breathing in through your nose. Breathing out through your mouth. You want to be keeping the pelvis flat into the floor as well. So both hip bones with those headlights are going to be down into the floor. So we're not twisting it over. We're literally just squeezing that glute and lifting and lowering that leg. So we're floating the leg up. Squeezing that glute, keeping the leg nice and straight. You want to do 2 legs at the same time. You can give that a go. Again, really squeezing the glute. This is going to stop the lower back from overworking too much. If you want to go back to the single legs, you can do that too. That's absolutely fine. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. And place those back down. Fantastic. So take a couple of breaths. We're going to come back into our child's pose. So just place the hands on the floor. We're going to take the knees apart. We're going to place the feet together. We're going to walk the hands a little bit further forward and then we're going to sit back to get the optimal stretch. So take a few breaths here. And this should feel quite nice on the back. If you want to place the forehead on the floor, you can do that too. Okay, we're going to turn this into our thread the needle stretch. So I want you to pick up your right hand. You're going to thread that underneath your left armpit. And then you're going to place the side of the head back on the floor. You should feel a really nice stretch in the back of the shoulder. So exactly where we've just worked. Okay, we're going to unthread that arm. We're going to go the opposite side. So place that hand down, pick up our left, thread it underneath our right. Place the side of the head on the floor. Okay, we're going to take a couple more breaths here. When you're ready, unthread that arm, come up into a comfortable seated position. And we're going to do our saw. So, I'm going to sit back a little bit. We're going to sit in a straddle position. Now it's up to you how wide you want to take your legs. It can just kind of be that far. If you can take it a lot wider, then just whatever's comfortable for you. So we're going to be sat right up on our hip bones. So I don't kind of want to see any of this. We're going to lengthen up through the spine. You may just need to wiggle the bum back a little bit, and that should help you sit up more upright. Fantastic. Breathing in through your nose, we're going to lift our arms up towards the side. On our out breath, we're going to twist the upper part of the body, and then we're going to lean forward towards that leg. And then we're going to bring that back up into the center. So breathing in through our nose, breathing out, twisting that round, leaning forward, bringing that back up, lengthening back up to that spine, rotating back into that starting position. Fantastic. And make sure you're lengthening up through that spine and resetting every time you come back to the middle. Don't overstretch too far. You really want to think about keeping the spine nice and long the whole time. So we're aiming to get the belly button towards the thighs, not the face towards the knee. So we're not going like this. We're keeping it nice and upright, and we're leaning forward and bringing that back. Breathing in, breathing back out. Getting that nice spinal rotation. And hopefully Dad hasn't just died upstairs, but we'll find out. Okay, we're going to go one more each side. I'm going to finish back in the centre. And I'm going to float the arms back down. You'll probably notice that your shoulders are nice and warm now. So we're just going to give them a little bit of a roll. Get the blood flowing again. And we're going to do our hip flexor leg lifts. So I'm going to turn around to the side slightly. We're going to have our legs out in front of us. Now, if you want to use a wall for support behind you, you can. Again, I want you to think about sitting right up on the sit bone. So we're not doing this. I'm going to place our hands, we're going to wiggle our bum back, and we're going to sit up nice and tall. If you want to get a cushion to sit on, if that's a little bit more comfortable, if you've got really tight hamstrings, then just get a cushion just to lift yourself up a little bit further. Now we can place our hands on the floor, or for a more advanced option, we can place our hands on our hips. So pick your poison. We're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. We're going to point our feet. On the out breath, we're slowly going to lift and lower that leg. So we're going to pulse that 3 times. We're going to place that back down. So it's really important that you're keeping the knee nice and straight. As soon as you start to bend that knee, you won't get anything from the exercise at all. So really think about straightening that knee, locking that knee out. Pulsing that leg up 3 times, placing that back down. Think about keeping the spine nice and long as well. Because again, if you start leaning over like this, you won't feel it. So really lengthening that up, pulling the belly button in. Again, if you can't feel anything with your hands on the floor, place the hands on the hips. Pulsing that leg, keeping that belly button pulled in. Keeping the leg nice and straight. Breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your mouth. Okay, we're going to do 3 pulses each side, so make sure you're doing the same amount on each leg. And just take a breath. We're going to do a nice quad stretch and hamstring stretch. So we're going to come around onto our knees. We're going to come up into our kneeling position. We're going to extend one leg forward. We're going to have our foot bent up towards us to start with. Now if that's enough for your hamstring, you can stay here, that's absolutely fine. If you want to increase, you can place your hands either side of your knee. And if you like, you can point and flex that foot and just get a nice stretch through the hamstring. Breathing in through your nose, breathing back out through your mouth. Okay, we're then going to place that foot flat on the floor. We're going to bend that knee and we're going to push the hips forward. So you should get a stretch in the quad, in that hip flexor we've just worked. Now again, it's up to you. If you want to place the hands on the thigh and stay upright like this, you can. If you want to place your hands on the floor, you can also do this. If you do place your hands on the floor, you'll notice you won't get as much of a stretch in that hip flexor. So if the hip flexor's tight, I suggest you stay upright. Just take a few breaths here. Okay, and then we're going to push our weight back through there. We're going to bring that leg back next to it. We're going to repeat the opposite side. So just stride that leg out in front. It helps if you take it a little bit further out to the side. I'm going to have the foot flexed for now. And if you'd like to stay here, you can. If you want to place the hands on the floor, you can also do that. But really think about lengthening through that spine as well. So if you do find that you are rounding the shoulders like this, come back up into the original position. We want to get the most out of that hamstring and keeping the shoulder blades back and the spine nice and long is going to get the best out of that. You can point and flex that foot again as well if you wish. Okay, we're then going to place the foot flat on the floor. We're going to bend that knee and we're going to push the hips forward. So if you'd like, you can stay up here. You get the maximum amount of that hip flexor stretch. Place the hands on the thigh. If that's too uncomfortable, just place the hands on the floor. And just take some deep breaths here too. Okay, we're going to push back through that leg. We're going to come back onto our knees and we're going to slowly make our way down to the floor to do a little bit of core work. So make your way down and come straight flat onto our back. So we've got no roll downs today. I know you love them, I do apologise. We're going to keep that belly button pulled in and down to the floor. So just check with your hands that you can't get your hands underneath that lower back. If you start to relax, you'll find the arm just goes all the way through. So think about keeping that belly button pulled in, pushing that all down, keeping the ribs down too. So although we end up pulling this down, we end up flaring the ribs, which doesn't help. So really think about tucking those ribs down too. We're going to pin the shoulder blades down to the floor and we're just going to let the arms down by the side loosely. Now you want to check you can see more ceiling in front of you than behind, so the chin is tucked in slightly. We're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to pick the legs up. We're going to do our toe taps. So on the out breath, slowly lower the foot down towards the floor. So again, this is working from the hip joint. We're not bending the knees. The knees are staying in that 90-degree angle. They're not getting smaller. So we're not pulling the foot towards the bum. We're taking the foot down on that angle, keeping that belly button pulled in. Breathing in through our nose, breathing back out through our mouth. Keeping the movement nice and slow and controlled too. If you find it becomes quite easy, just make the movement slightly slower. So think about counting to about 3 or 4, maybe even more on the way down. And then bringing that back up at the same speed. Okay, we're going to do one more each side. Then we're going to place our feet on the floor as close to our butt as we can. We're going to do our glute bridge. So you want to make sure your knees and your feet are roughly hip distance apart. We're going to pin the shoulder blades back into the floor. We're going to take a deep breath in. On that out breath, we're going to push through our heels. We're going to squeeze our glutes and we're slowly going to peel the spine up off the floor into that ski slope position. We're going to breathe in here and then we're going to breathe out and slowly lower that back down again. Vertebrae by vertebrae. Fantastic. So breathing in, pushing through the heels, squeezing the glutes, pulling that belly button in too, keeping the midsection nice and tight. Breathing in at the top and then slowly placing the spine all the way back down on the way out. So again, work with the tempo. See how slow you can make the movement. You'll find it might be a little bit wobbly to start with. That's absolutely fine. But your body will overcome this. It will get stronger the more you practice. So we're not doing a hip thrust. We're slowly peeling that up off the floor and placing that back down again. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. We're going to keep them really slow and controlled. Working with our breath, we're squeezing the glutes, we're really pushing through the heels. Breathing in through our nose, back out through our mouth. And once you've done those, we're going to do a nice little glute stretch to finish off. So we're going to pick up our one leg off the floor. We're going to place that foot on the opposite thigh, and we're going to push that knee away. We're going to take a second here, and we can stay here if we like. If you'd like a little bit more, we're going to pick the other foot up off the floor, and just take the hands around. And just take a couple of breaths here. Okay, place that foot on the floor. I'm going to uncross the legs. We're going to go the opposite side. So pick the other up, place that across the thigh, and push the knee away. Again, you can stay here if you like, or you can pick that leg up off the floor, take the hands behind the thigh, and just take a couple of deep breaths here. Okay, place that back down. And we're going to finish with a couple of spinal twists. So I'm just going to move my positioning around. You can stay exactly where you are. We're going to take our arms out towards the sides. If there's not much room, you can have them in like a cactus position. We're going to pick our one leg up. We'll say our right leg. We're going to cross it over our left. And then we're going to let the knees drop towards the left-hand side. And you take a couple of breaths here. Okay, bring the knees back into the centre. I'm going to uncross the legs. I'm going to cross the left over the right. I'm slowly going to let the knees drop towards the right hand side. still, breathing in through your nose and back out through your mouth. Lovely. We're going to bring the knees back into the centre. I'm going to uncross the legs and we're going to come up into a comfortable seated position. So take your time. Lovely. So I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments. Be sure to check out the other videos as well. There's a few now. And if you do have any suggestions on anything you'd like to do, any problem areas, again, just drop those in the comments for us. So thank you very much. See you all soon. Bye.